the usual. And I beg the DG to listen to me, because my interest is that so that the procurement management plan is drawn as one of the key documents that are executed and are supposed to be executed at the beginning of every project. So that beforehand, the contractor, the vendor knows the end of the journey and comply with them. Responsibilities will be assigned to each of the team. So let me take this opportunity to welcome everybody. It's a great honor, and also to welcome the teaching. Spesse is a federal government project initiative assisted by World Bank. And it reminded us today that it's a loan the federal government and all of us will pay back. So we will take the opportunity to benefit from the program. It's a free program currently until the exit of the World Bank. So the goal is clear: to address systematic capacity gap, which some research or study has shown that really we have a gap in procurement performance, environmental compliance, and social safeguard. I'm happy the DG is here, and since he started in 2024 November, I guess so, he has shown clear roadmap on how to place Nigeria on the correct map, on the correct trajectory to really make sure procurement is properly executed in Nigeria. Today, I'm sure he'll be making some policy statements in this regard. So I welcome everybody to this workshop, and I must reiterate that we are very grateful to the Vice Chancellor. I must say it again, the Vice Chancellor has been very wonderful, reachable, fallible, and with the assistance of our World Bank coordinator in England, Professor Spesse, we have pushed ahead. Very soon we'll be organizing an international conference here for sustainability sake. Thank you, everybody. I wish all the participants, although you are adults, we will not conduct exams. I'm sure along the way we will ask you questions and note those that we will told their certificates. Thank you so much. Welcome to this workshop. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Not too better for sex and there's something you need at being number one. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to celebrate again the wife of our Vice Chancellor and Director, Technical Intervention and World Bank Centers for Excellence in England. This put your hands together again for the first time. We never achieved it. At this time, we heard from the Center of Spesse. It is now time to hear from the Chief Host. As I welcome to the microphone, the number one citizen, I would say, of the great University of Benin. Please, I'd like for us to put our hands together. Okay, this appears is going to be a standing ovation. Please put our hands together. Four.
Thank you, sir.
For Professor Benova Onwegi, SAN.
Now, you talk to brother. Yeah, brother, the quality of the people also when this year for this. Central down was best. So, Celesta should be. Central is also a lawyer. Yeah, it's what is not. Which response to this very important workshop. When you say that we need grateful to have their presence and the European Procurement. It's family to gain is very significant part of national development process. It's happy to be seen as the just man. Don't say that the university is coming to key into the national agenda to ensure that the procurement process is in accordance with law and all the processes that are expected. There is a significant part of governmental process. So procurement, for that matter, is a universal thing. And Nigeria being a signatory to approval of the issue since mounted law and the very process. So what we are doing throughout the day is part of the process of trying to deepen knowledge on this very important part of national government. The rest of the meeting is fully part of the process. We have a center where we are, which mandate includes driving knowledge on public procurement. And so it's only proper for us to be having events like this. When I came on board as vice chancellor, we have to interact very closely with the process. One of the things that I can mention to him is that we must constantly engage in the matters like this. It's a significant part of my own agenda, it's agenda number 2, which is to build capacity. And it's not enough for you to be investing, trying out degrees, but you must also be ready to become a capacity building up. In other words, in addition to driving the degree or the process, you must for that time have engagements like this, and short engagements, medium, long-term engagements. You don't need to be aware of degrees, but for certificates so that you can be able to get into the governmental process. So today's event fits very well into our agenda. So I want to say that we congratulate all participants in this event because we are going to be here with not true knowledge, but this is very important process. And knowledge is continuing. But even after we have had today's room, we also have to program another one so that we can get to very reminded about the need to apply to public procurement. So now we want to once again welcome the Nigerian team to which was a very pleasant deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Vice Chancellor. I'm trying to hear from keynote speaker, Dr. Adebowale Adegoke, the DG Bureau of Public Procurement. Please can we put our hands together to celebrate him?
Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, one of the iconic first generation universities. The BBC's president, good morning to you, and other principal officers of the university, and invited guests, the media. I want to say good morning today and to say a big thank you for the warm reception that we have received since we arrived in today. It was a smooth journey, right from Abuja, landing in Lagos, coming to Benin, and then we were received at the airport. And it shows that you are in tune with the modern trends. And thank you for giving us a good accommodation. I want to say thank you to the entire team. And more importantly, to congratulate the university for being the first government agency since we have setting new policies approved by Mr. President. I want to say you are the first government agency that will be hearing it direct, freshly baked this morning. I want to congratulate. Nobody can change that history. I think it's permanently. I'd like to bring you greetings from the entire staff of Bureau of Public Procurement. Many of my colleagues will have loved to be here, but they are also caught up in an assignment that I've dedicated them to do. But they all sent a great day. Let me finally, before I read the speech, acknowledge the unique responsibility and leadership style of Mr. President. I want you to hear me well. I didn't know you from anywhere. Mr. President, I don't know you. President Bola, I don't know you. I don't know you. My first encounter with him was when I was appointed. Because sometimes you need to say it and say the truth. Man respects competency, respects innovations, and he watches the news. Everything we do, he watches. So I'm proud to work on that. And not only that, to also let you know that when you sow a good seed, it will definitely germinate. My journey to procurement started since 2003. And I know how I have developed. I told your students, I said, don't go for money now, go for knowledge. Acquire knowledge. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is a special day. Because I've been looking forward to coming to you then anyway. Because whether you believe it or not, Union is unique. Anywhere in the world, Union is known. Am I correct? Yes. All that sharing in the remarkable work you are doing. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done by the university, which you will permit me to say as time goes on during the course of the presentation this morning. So, good morning, Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor here present, the deans of faculties, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today to give this keynote address on driving procurement beyond contract award, specifically focusing on contract management, proper monitoring and evaluation, value for money, assurance. In today's business world, the role of strategic leadership in managing contract implementation has never been more crucial. These projects, which cut across various public and private sectors, directly influence the social economic landscape of nations, communities, and generations. But the challenge goes beyond just selection of bidders or contract awards, but proper execution to shaping outcomes, results that are sustainable, inclusive, and resilient to the benefits of our citizenry. We should all note that public procurement is not merely an administrative or technical task, but it is a strategic instrument for our national development. Through the effective implementation of procurement processes, we can all contribute directly to the success of Mr. President's renewal agenda by fostering economic growth, social equity, and sustainable development. As a procuring entity that you are, You play a critical role in ensuring that public funds are judiciously utilized to deliver meaningful and impactful services to the citizens. As you are aware, this nation's economic resources are depleting. Hence, every fund must be judiciously utilized to address poverty, reduce insecurity, create job employment, reduce poverty, and foster shared prosperity. However, managing projects is not without its challenges. Therefore, as leaders in public sectors, we should be ready to collaborate with a vast array of stakeholders in governments, international organizations, private companies, and local communities to ensure that government projects are properly implemented to specifications, monitored, and sustained. So, Vice Chancellor, your effective leadership in bringing these diverse interests together, facilitating communication, and ensure alignment of project goals to the benefit of the public is your duty. Just recently, the Bureau of Public Procurement published the newly revised standard bidding documents. As many of you are aware, this document forms the foundation of how government procurement is initiated, conducted, concluded, and are guided towards successful implementation. The revisions have introduced, are not mere cosmetic changes. They represent a strategic shift aimed at aligning our procurement practices with global next standards, ensuring better value for money, and fostering a more inclusive procurement environment. There are 17 new standard bidding documents produced that covers goods, works, and services, covers building, road and bridges, maintenance, consulting and non-consulting services, management information system, health commodities, framework agreements, procurement of complex projects, EPC, disposal of assets. This documents, furthermore, are the primary responsibility of PPP to ensure that only qualified service providers can participate effectively and competitively in public procurement. However, this cannot happen if our stakeholders, like UNIDED, are unaware of their responsibilities, expectations, processes, and documentation required to effectively manage project implementation. That is why we are here today, to reinforce these responsibilities as stakeholders to national development. In addition, the current procurement reform being championed under the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President has given the Bureau responsibilities in the following areas. As you are aware, President just really approved a new revised procurement threshold. 2, we have suddenly turned around time for requests before PPP to less than 21 days from the previous turnaround time of 3 months. We have now come to assure you that your request can be delivered to you in 21 days, if all things being equal. We have also recently launched a national certification program for procurement, where a new level of skills, knowledge, and ethical best standards are to be enshrined in the abilities of procurement officers and all other stakeholders in implementing national projects. We have also commenced capacity building nationwide for all procurement officers, chief executives, contractors, service providers, and consultants, including civil society organizations. We have also established price intelligence and benchmarking units. And this has really reduced costs of doing projects in less than 6 months. We have also embarked on policy for health-related procurement. We have also embarked on policy for local manufactured vehicles. We are shortly deploying electronic advertisement module for publication of all advertisements on DPP website. This initiative will give opportunities to all Nigerians in all nooks and corners of this great country. What does that mean? Contractors, service providers do not need to fly to Abuja. They do not need to fly to the rest of Benin before they can see job opportunities. Because now to be online. We are glad to inform you also that we are in the process of implementing what is called community-based procurement. This community-based procurement simply means that citizens within a particular local community should be given opportunities to bid for projects within that community at a particular cost. This policy is very interesting in the sense that it's going to support even our implementation of National Assembly projects. Because now what it means is that able, qualified, both women, children, local contractors can have ownership of projects within particular location nationwide. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to inform you that in this reform, we are also collaborating with the states and local governments towards having harmonized procurement law that will help align with the federal government initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, as the world is changing, Nigeria needs to change rapidly in these procurement initiatives. That is why we are moving from traditional procurement to what is called sector-based procurement. We are now focusing on procurement strictly for the different sectors. We are working closely with professional bodies to develop clear-cut policies that will guide things like ICT. Our professional procurement that manages ICT. Our professionals that can manage our health sector. Our professionals that can manage our legal aspects of procurement, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion of my address this morning is to congratulate the Vice Chancellor and his team for what they are doing towards making investors the citadel of knowledge. I would like to appeal that you consider the possibility of partnering with the Bureau of Public Procurement in the area of applied research, where we will have University of Benin look at policies of government in the area of procurement and carry out deep research, applied research that can further strengthen what we are already doing. I hope that the university will take this as an opportunity to continue to be an iconic university nationwide. Mr. Vice Chancellor, permit me to remind us of the consequences of not adhering to procurement processes. I can assure you that our collaborating partners, including EFCC, ICPC, Office of Auditor General of the Federation, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, NAETI, Code of Conduct Bureau, NFIU, CBN, we are all together working closely to ensure proper monitoring, evaluation, and audits are carried out. We don't want to fight corruption, we want to prevent corruption. We want to say, let it not happen at all, so that Nigerians can benefit. Vice Chancellor, can I appeal to you to also consider providing more resources for capacity building for the procurement officers in the university? If possible, can you also deepen by bringing on board students of the university, create a learning environment for us to talk to them about reasons why they must be procurement compliant, even in their studies. Procurement is not just about their word of contract, that the students themselves must understand fully the role of public procurement in everything they do. In other 2025 budget implementation, timelines will be issued in the next couple of days. For instance, all procurement activities must be completed within the first half of the year, so as to enable us ensure full implementation of all your projects in your vicinity. Vice Chancellor and other critical stakeholders, I want to assure you, on behalf of His Excellency, that we are committed as the Bureau of Public Procurement to enshrining in our system and to deal with corrupt staff. Anywhere they are, we will expose them. And on this note, I want to say thank you for bringing us to your domain, and we look forward to a fruitful deliberation that will take Nigeria and our nation to be at par to those developed countries that we all envy. Thank you very much. God bless the Minister of the Day, God bless the Bureau of Public Procurement, and God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Let's dance together again. It's spoken very explicitly to everyone here this morning, and I believe that we're taking something from it. Before going through our training session, we would like to quickly take the goodwill message this morning from the National Coordinator World Bank Spesse project of the NUC. Mr. Dr. Joshua is here represented by Yvonne Oreki. Please let's put the hands together for her. We pass forward to the goodwill message.
Distinguished member of the University Management, the DG BPP, the center leader, faculty and staff of the University of Spesse, facilitators and participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I bring warm greetings from Executive Secretary of the National University Foundation, Mr. Abdullah Yusuf, and the National Coordinator of the Spesse project, Mr. Joshua Azam, who those remarks on the It is a privilege to deliver this Google message on behalf of the National Universities Commission and the project implementation unit for the Sustainable Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards Enhancements project at this important workshop organized by the University of Spesse Center of Excellence. Let me begin by commending the University of Benin and its Spesse Center for organizing this training workshop focused on procurement. As we all know, sound procurement practices are not only the foundation of good governance, but also a critical enabler for the efficient delivery of public projects, especially within the context of donor-supported initiatives such as the Spesse project. Workshops like this are essential for strengthening institutional capacity, promoting transparency, and ensuring alignment with global procurement and financial management best practices. By engaging university leadership directly, Spesse demonstrates foresight and the commitment to embedding sustainable standards within the university system, an objective that lies at the very heart of the Spesse project. As we continue to implement the first phase of Spesse and hold discussions around its possible extension and additional financing, The capacity of our institutions to manage procurement processes in a compliant, ethical, and efficient manner will remain a key success factor. I therefore urge all participants to approach this workshop not merely as a training exercise, but as a strategic opportunity to build shared understanding and improve internal systems in ways that will serve the university long beyond the life cycle of the Spesse project. On behalf of the NECPI group, I reaffirm the NEC's support for the Center's capacity building initiatives and encourage continued collaboration between university leadership and the project team in delivering the objectives of the Spesse project. I wish you all a fruitful celebration and a successful working.
From Joshua. So I'm going right into the training session now. And the first person we shall be receiving training from this morning is the teacher himself. And I said that is very good time. So, particularly from the DG himself. How quickly, we'll take a citation on DG. This pending please. It is with great honor that we welcome Dr. Adewale Abraham Adedo, a distinguished professional whose life and work have shaped Nigeria's public procurement landscape. Dr. Adedo assumed the mantle of Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement (BPP) on November 14th, 2024. I'm privileged and excited to reflect on the remarkable journey to his present position. One defined by dedication to transparency, accountability, and excellence in governance. Born on 15th May 1971 in Jos, Plateau State, and a native of Ogbomoshono's local government area of Oyo State, Dr. Adedo's academic path and a commitment began in Jos, where he demonstrated early promise and commitment to lifelong learning. A multilingual communicator, fluent in English, Yoruba, and Hausa, he has leveraged this skill to bridge cultural divides, foster inclusivity throughout his career. Dr. Adedo stands as a paragon of academic achievements. His credentials reflect a deep commitment to education and professional development, including PhD in Procurement and Supply Chain Management at National University, Bamenda, Cameroon. MSc in Procurement, Logistics and Supply Chain Management, University of Salford, Manchester, UK. MBA in Financial Management, American Kitchener University of Technology, Nautic, Promotion. MSc in Transport Management, Logistics, Abubakar Balewa University, Amsu, Bauchi State. He also holds numerous certifications from prestigious professional bodies, such as the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, CIPS, UK, and the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, ACFE. A pioneer staff member of the BPP, Dr. Adedo was instrumental in establishing the Bureau following the enhancement of the Public Procurement Act 2007. His career spans 4 presidential administrations, marked by significant reforms that have elevated the standards of public procurement in Nigeria. Facilitating over 650 billion naira in cost savings from public contracts 2007 to 2015, training more than 8,000 procurement officers across federal and state institutions, leading collaborative initiatives with World Bank, USAID, and European Union, advancing Nigeria's alignment with global procurement standards. As a former social assistant to several directors general and later director of research, training, and strategic planning, Dr. Adedo has consistently championed innovations efficiently and with accountability. Dr. Adedo is Nigeria's sole representative on the International Research Study on Public Procurement IRSPP and has earned global accolades, including a certificate of special recognition from the state 2009 for being an everyday hero for the forum. Now, as the Director General, Dr. David brings a bold and strategic vision to the EPP. His priorities are in alignment with renewed whole agenda focused on the following: strengthening institutional frameworks to enhance procurement governance, deepening partnerships with international development and anti-corruption agencies, as well as promoting inclusive procurement by empowering underrepresented groups, especially women, through initiatives like the UN Women Rights. Dr. Adibowale is not just a public servant, he's a reformer, a visionary, and a leader of integrity. His appointment is a testament to his enduring contributions and a mandate to continue transforming public procurement. Standing before you today is not only a man of integrity, but a legacy and progress. One built on ideals of transparency, professionalism, and good governance. As he pilots the affairs of the Bureau to a new horizon, we are confident that the Bureau of Public Procurement will drive the Bureau to a new enviable height under his capable leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to warmly welcome Dr. Adibowale Abraham, the Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement, to the University and to deliver this training to all participants. Please all put the hand together.
Thank you very much for describing my life. So, participant this training is not the usual training. I'm going to be real, I'm going to be practical. I will say it as hot as you can imagine it. The essence of it is to say it so that we can move forward. So I would like you to relax and let us share knowledge as we look at it. Can I have the presentation?
No, just continue to my passion.
Next slide.
It's like,
Next slide. There are things I need to. Okay, go on. So let's start from here. As you look at the screen, what should come into your mind is what procurement can do to the community. When we carry out procurement as expected, and as we done elsewhere, it can actually give us results, as we can see here. It's not rocket science. If you don't know, if you can't remember any, look at the Central Bank of Nigeria. How many years ago was it built? Probably over 20 years. As at today, these are an iconic building in Abuja. It's still better than what we're even seeing currently. One principle was utilization of public procurement in executing this project. You can tell me that this project started and ended on the date it was sent out for. The contract sum was exactly the contract sum that ended it. They inbuilt the contract management documents, all the clauses to ensure that the contractor vis-a-vis others do not take advantage. It was clearly written in the contract management documents. What can be taken from variation or fluctuation within a particular range. So everybody was clear about their role and responsibility. These are other iconic locations, airports, medical equipment on the sea. Design, good design. Tested over periods, seasons. Next slide. But look at it, look at my country. Look at what we have done to ourselves by cutting corners. Not surprising. They are all available all over the country. When you see some schools, you wonder why those children will not eat us as parents. When you see some medical health center, the children there are carrying tuberculosis, carrying diseases at the onset of their life for what could have been prevented. Because we fail to adhere to procurement practices. Building collapse. How do we design the building? Who did the soil tests? How was the contractor chosen? Those who pay, how did they pay? Those who audited, how did they audit? These are issues that should be of great concern to us. Next slide. I must say to you, most learn from the past. Perhaps we all go to mosque every Friday. Am I correct? We go to church every Sunday to be told what we already know, so that we can remind ourselves of where we're coming from, where we're going. So next slide. Remember the past. Remember the past. It speaks for itself. Everything that this man is going through now is a problem with procurement. It is centered on procurement. Next slide. What this man is going through today is about procurement. It is his back. Every one of them has to do with officers performing procurement functions. By the way, they are the ones that will give you evidence against you when the time comes. It's the same law that you refuse to follow that will also be used to ask you questions. The same law that you neglected, that you waved away by virtue of your authority, you waved it away. But that same law, when you leave, that will also come back and give evidence against you. Next slide. Oh, you could be very powerful, untouchable, but that's where it ends. When the law comes, the law does not recognize that. So when they're asking the vice chancellor or leaders to do the wrong thing, we're actually positioning them for them to be it. Next slide. This is another one. All categories. Nobody exempted. Next slide. So I would like us to read this together. Everybody, they all, help me read this together. 1, 2, go. When you go into public service, you understand you are trading something. You are going to feel good about what you do, but you are not going to make what people in the private sector make. Does that make sense? We in public sector, our psychology and mindset has to be different. We cannot be able to make profits, make money like the private sector people. We made a choice. No one forced us. We made a choice. To the lecturers, to the public sector, we made the choice. And in our choice, we have traded probably your ability to go and amass wealth. A private sector person, his decision is to amass wealth, maximize profits, enjoy life, buy the best of cars, live in the best of houses, fly all over the world as if they like it or not. That's his choice as a private sector person. Or a public sector, you have traded your freedom substantially to serving your people. Next slide. Why public procurement was important? What is the importance of procurement? First, it's an enabler for economic growth. It is something for sustainability, something to prevent fraud and provide risk, innovation and creativity, makes governance more effective, something to be used for monitoring and evaluation, something to deliver value and fitness for purpose. Procurement is all about planning, forecasting, and budgeting. Procurement is about pricing, benchmarking, selection and categorization of suppliers. Procurement is about affirmative action for women, youth, and those with disability. That's what procurement is all about. Next slide. What's procurement? It's very simple. Public procurement is the use of public funds by public entities like Unimed to deliver public goods, works, and services, usually through a third party. This definition is very clear. In red, public funds. What that means is that no staff of Unimed should do contracts. That's what it means. It means your procurement should be done by non-Unimed staff. Simple. Anything outside this is a violation of the law. Apart from where we have researches, like the study of academic activities. Yes. But beyond that, if you are going to supply drugs, revolving scheme, drug revolving scheme, should be done by external people. You want to supply toner. By the way, no, every unit should not be procuring. There's only one procuring body in unit, that's the procurement department. Everybody should submit their requests to the procurement department. And the procurement department, by the approval of the VC, will carry out the procurement process. Department by department cannot be procuring. It's not your duty. Procurement is for encompassing sequence of related activities, beginning from assessment of needs to contract award, contract management, and final payment. You don't pay until you are sure the specification matches what was delivered. Next slide. The key points you need to note here is about the country procurement assessment report. And the question is it still true today? That for every ₦1 that you spend, 60 of it is lost to underhand practices. Meaning, effectively, only 40% of every ₦1 is used to deliver value. You see why X-ray machine is scans that we see all over are substandard. You see why the PCs that you buy, they are usually refurbished. Do you see why the roads we build sometimes are poorly built? The reason is because of this assessment. Next slide. What does DPP do? Because I'm in an academic environment, you need to interrogate these things. What does DPP do? What are our functions? Formulate policies, publicize, set threshold, monitor supervision of these policies, establish price standards, and keep a national database of prices. All contracts, publish all contracts by every entity Maintain a national database of contractors. What does that mean? It simply means Unimed should not have his list of contractors. It's not your duty. Undertakes research. Like I said in my speech, it's time for us to partner with Unimed to carry out research in public procurement. Like yesterday. It should be what we should be. PPP can't do that. We are not academicians. But we can provide support to be able to carry it out. If you are going to carry out the research and you need thousands and thousands of procurement officers, I can give them to you because they are within my control. They will give you results in your research. We have to organize training and development programs for procurement professionals. Next slide. We are to carry out periodic review of socio-economic effects. Again, this is an area university can look at. What is the impact of this policy on our national development? Are we just doing it? Where is the empirical evidence? Where is the research that justify the policies that are even announcing to you? We need the universities like never before. We have to provide an update standard bidding document, which what we are doing. We have to review all contract procedures, carry out audits, submit report to National Assembly, give the use of technology, provide a single internet portal for all procurement nationwide, and we are going to do that very soon. All procurement in this country go through the digital platform as soon as possible. Coordinate all training programs and build institutional capacity. This is why I'm saying that your role as university is critical. We must produce graduates. We must produce sound minds who are versatile in the public procurement space. Next slide. We must enforce threshold like you have seen now. Go on. Next slide. We have to also ask or recommend to Mr. President those who violate the processes. As of today, I have over 500 infractions by various government agencies that are due for further investigation. Over 500. We need the target to get. You can imagine why we lose values. And we are supposed to also demand contractors. For instance, if there is a contractor unit that consistently deliver poor projects, you have to tell us with evidences, and that contractor will no longer be allowed to do business anymore. Are you following me? Next slide. Okay, so
Check the screen. Put the screen up on. Put the screen on.
I hope I'm making sense to us.
Okay.
I hope that's where we are. I go to the slideshow. I go to the slideshow. Okay, so let me continue. So we're saying that the Bureau can also recommend to Mr. President when accounting officers, procurement officers violate the principles of procurement. What are the possibilities? We could ask Mr. President to suspend all the officers found to violate. We can ask for replacements. We can recommend certain disciplines. We can even suggest that the procurement of Unibet should be given to maybe another university nearby, where you are not doing it correctly, can be transferred. And of course, any other sanctions as the Bureau may consider appropriate. And the procurement process, when we receive complaint, you can notify your procurement process. We can ask for further investigation, either criminal or administrative. Next slide. No. What does this law cover? This law covers all public procuring and disposal entities of federal government, the three acts of government. It covers federal government, ministries, agencies, and parastatals, commissions, bureaus, and also states and local government, where at least 35% of the funds are part of the expenditure from Federation share of the consolidated LNP fund. Next slide. It covers all corporations, like I said, councils, authorities, commissions. It covers federal, tertiary, and non-tertiary institutions, federal hospitals, health institutions, central bank, all federal government financial institutions, national defense and national security, the National Assembly, and the judiciary. Next slide. What are the basic principles? It should be based on procurement plan. It's like a criminal offense to collect a procurement that has no approved procurement plan by DPP. You cannot carry out a procurement until the VC sends or signs a procurement plan to DPP. Until you get an approval, they are expected not to commence. It should be open, competitive, it should be transparent, it should promote competition, achieve value, and critical evaluation criteria cannot be changed once you publish your advertisements. It's very critical. Next slide. Then go on. I'll tell you to stop. Go on. All right, hold on. There are people who drive procurement in this country. Who are they? We have the accounting officer. In your case, is the VC. You have the tenders board. You have the procurement planning committee. You have the procurement department. You have procurement officers, and you have all internal stakeholders. We have the external stakeholders, the contractors, civil society, professional bodies, board members, and interested members of the public. For instance, you have the board, University of Benin board, council. That council should not be involved in the procurement process. It's not their duty. Their role is for supervision, approving policies, ensuring discipline, or not to sit down to award contracts. The chairman of the council is going to be provided with the outcome of the tenders vote for his concurrence. Where he disagrees, he can only ask you to go back and justify. And of course, PPP provides the regulatory functions. And this is why I want to put you on notice. There are people who are intermediaries who say we know PPP. And you consult with them to help you facilitate the handouts to you. The market is over. That's not what we do. It's advisable to talk to the regulator directly. The vice chancellor can call DG. This is what I'm going through. What do I do? I must give you an answer. Don't send somebody to me. It's your duty. We have to be able to give you direct response. And then we have the investigative body. Go on. EFCC, ICPC, the police. Who is an accounting officer? The key information here is that they are the ones that supervise all procurement. Is the person charged? 3 is the key. Is the person that's going to be liable a person. Thank God, I have essay again. Liable a person. for the breach or contravention of the law or any regulation made them under whether or not that act or omission was carried out by him personally or any of his subordinates. He's going to be held accountable. So it's important that he knows that everything stops on his table. I have an experience of the former managing director of the government agency who had the board. And because he wanted to remain in office, was everything they asked him to do, he did, splitting contracts. When he was invited by EFCC, and they asked him, he said, no, it was the board that asked him to do it. They said, give us evidence. There was no evidence. He said he was directed. Today, he's still in court after 10 years. But the board members are all gone. They are gone, enjoying their lives. But he's accounting for what he did not know. So please take note, this is very critical. Next slide. Continue. And then there's a department called Procurement. It has to be under the office of the Vice Chancellor, with full complement of the director, responsible, and you must take instruction from the DC. The next level is the tenders board. The tenders board is an approving authority for setting threshold, which I will show you. What does the tenders board do? They ensure good commercial practices, enforce PPP policies, have knowledge of the act and the manual. Next slide. The functions: approve all plans. Procurement plan of the university must be approved by the tenders board. All evaluation reports must be approved by the tenders board. Contract award within the threshold must be approved by the tenders board. Who chairs the tenders board? He is the Vice Chancellor. Can he delegate? He can delegate if he so wishes. What quorum makes a tenders board? 3. 2 of those 3 must be the chairperson and the director of procurement, and any other person. The secretary of that tenders board must be the director of procurement. Is the decision of the tenders board final? Oh yes, it used to be final, but now you must first of all take it to the chairman of the board of your council for him to concur with your decision. Without his concurrence, you cannot implement. Next slide. This for the ministry and parastatals where we fall in. Next slide. For universities, this is the composition of the tenders board. For clarity, you have the Vice Chancellor, you have the Deputy Vice Chancellor, you have all of these are members of the tenders board. The caution is this: when you have some concern, you need to write us. If you want, maybe somebody is missing and you feel that person should be there, you need to write DPP before you implement any change. But this is the basic template of how the tenders board is. Next slide. We have the procurement planning committee. They don't award, they only plan. They only plan. And once they finish planning, by the way, your planning should commence for 2026 by the 3rd quarter of 2025. That's when your procurement for 2026 should begin. In the 3rd quarter of this year, you should have your procurement plan ready for consideration. You must carry out this assessment. What do you want? Again, every department in the university can carry out their own plan, but they must submit it to the Vice Chancellor, who will ask the Director of Procurement to collate. There's no individual procurement. You cannot procure your toner. You cannot procure your OPC. Say it is my department. I will buy for myself. You are doing the wrong thing. It must be done through a centralized system. You must do appropriate market survey. Then you must determine the method. Next slide. These are the members of the PPC. Again, when you have concern, please let us know. We'll be able to provide you in writing officially if you need more members, as long as it's within the law. Next slide. Next slide. This is very key for your clarity's sake. You can see for the executive arm, we have the Parastatal Standards Board, we have the Ministerial Standards Board, we have the Federal Executive Council. For the National Judiciary, we have the Judicial Bodies Standards Board, Court Standards Board, National Judicial Council Standards Board. When you come to the legislative, you have the Parastatal Standards Board, you have the National Assembly or Standards Board. So the three arms of government. So people are saying National Assembly, you don't comply with procurement. I've shown you today that this is what they do. A lot of their procurements come that we vet. Now when you take it to the next level, we brought it out under the new regime. So there is the executive arm, there is the legislative arm, and there is the judicial arm. The cornerstone, the center piece of this job, of this post is PPP. Everybody gets no objection from PPP, but they can go at their different arms to award. Next slide. Who approves contracts? Accounting officer can approve. Tenders board, ministerial or parastatal or university tenders board. Fed, National Assembly and Judiciary can approve an award. PPP does not approve, neither does the award contracts for you. We only give you a no objection. That's all we do. Next slide. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 days ago we had the ground new threshold for immediate implementation. And I want you to take note of the operations. I'll be providing more clarification in the next couple of days from Monday through various press interviews and so on. But to just show you how it operates, from what you have known before to what we are now. For instance, the Vice Chancellor, prior till now, has less than 10 million that he can approve on his table. But from now, he can approve for goods and services. He can approve anything less than 25 million without having to go tenders board. That's the latest. We have increased his spending power. Why? There are little things that the university needs to do. 5 million, 10 million. And you have to wait for the tenders board. But now the story is that anything less than 25 million, you can deal with it as soon as possible, following out the rules. For what? Listen, we have raised your capacity to carry out work-related project to 50 million without going to your tenders board. You can deal with any work-related issue as long as it's below 50 million. You don't need to go to the tenders board. You are covered by law. For permanent secretaries, they can now on their own approve 50 million below without going to the ministerial standards board. For works, 75 million below. For parastatal standards board that you and I are in, for works, for goods, anything between 25 million but less than 5 million can be approved exports at your tenders board. 500 million. I thought you would laugh for us. That means you are not happy with us. What this means is there should be no reason why projects should not be completed. This is a test of trust. What this has done, President was asking, PG, are you sure people will not abuse? Because they are already abusing the old one. And I said to him, trust begets trust. Give them the trust. Let's see whether they will pay back. When it's abused, by the new circular, it is subjected to periodic review. If by my survey, I find out that there's gross abuse, I will write it back, reducing the threshold again. At any point in time, I do not need any permission. I will just drop it down due to economic or abuses. So we have the privilege now to demonstrate that we can be trusted, but we are going to put stop gaps, safety nets to avoid abuses, which I will show you. So for ministerial, some of the projects will go above this 500 million. Ministerial tenders board now, as anything less than 1 billion for goods will be dealt with at ministerial tenders board. Less than 1 billion. For works, 5 billion less. They don't need to go to Federal Executive Council. After receiving no objection from us, straight to the ministry. Yeah, if you, this one applies if you advertise. If you don't advertise, you must come to EPP for approval. So, any smart institution will advertise instantly. Who knows what they are doing? They will take advantage of advertisements and do it. And sharp. Advertisement is now less than 4 weeks for national competitive bidding. You can even do advert for 7 days. Yes. You are within the law. 1 week advertisement is recognized for national. For international, anything below 6 weeks maximum. So the ball is in your court. Hoping that money will be released as I told you. What goes, so we introduce a new level. Anything between 1 billion and 5 billion for goods and for services. We first of all, just like what bank standard, get a prior no objection for you to even start at all. You justify by getting a prior no objection from BP. What now goes to FEC for the first time in the history of this nation? FEC will have more time to focus on policies, monitoring, evaluation, and bringing to accountability all appointees of Mr. President. The threshold is 5 billion and above for goods and services, 10 billion and above for works. If I am not mistaken, we're going to have a reduction close to 80% or 90%. Only complex projects, very, very complex projects will go to FEC. Next slide. What about pre-qualification? For you to undertake pre-qualification for goods, 1 billion, it has been taken up to 1 billion and above. For works, anything above 5 billion is where you require pre-qualification. Interestingly, when I mentioned about community-based procurement, you will begin to see we have requests for quotation, we have national shopping, we have single source. All of this from next week will tell you some of those projects are qualified for community-based procurement based on this new paradigm shift. Women too will be involved. A certain percentage of your contract must be given to women-owned businesses to encourage women. By the way, I'm sure you know the best soup you can eat is from a woman. No matter how a man cooks, even if you go to a baking school, no matter how best you are, until the woman gives you a correct soup, you will not enjoy. Am I right? When women are involved in our procurement process, you can get quality. They will support quality. They don't like corruption. Women hate corruption. That's why they are passionate about their husbands. They don't want anybody to share their husband. That is surely corruption. I think we should give women. I hope I'm correct. You are Right, we all the banks in Nigeria today that are being efficiently are run by women. Am I correct? Send your wife to travel for 1 month. You see the disorganization. Am I correct?
Yes.
If they return, the organization happens. So it means that the more women in taking responsibility, the better for our nation. Am I correct? Next slide. Okay? There are methods of procurement. The cornerstone of efficiency and effectiveness is to advertise. It will drive down costs. It will promote efficiency, effectiveness, and value. Any method we use after open is a compromise method. And that's what is happening. The petrol project, everything should be advertised. We understand peculiarities. That's why we don't provide for selective tendering, direct procurement, repeat procurement, and as well as emergency or direct labor. All of them have conditions for implementation. You cannot use it. The only organization that can give you approval to use any method outside open competition is PPP. You want to do selective, I advise you write PPP first. Emergency does not require PPP to give you approval. Emergency means go ahead and resolve the emergency. When you finish, come back to PPP for a no objection. What does emergency mean? 3 conditions. 1, natural disaster, force majeure, or anything that is illegal to the growth, anything that will affect, if an action is not taken, it will cause more damage instantly. I'll give you an instance. This roof of this building gets blown. It is raining season, and equipment are there. What option do you have? Emergency. But if you wait, and you wait after 1 month, after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, you think it's not important, you can wait. I mean, it's not so important that you need to rush and you wait. That's no longer emergency. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So this is the procurement cycle, just for your knowledge. It's bidding, and post-bid. One must precede the other. It's as simple as that. Next slide. I don't want to go into the details. Again, it's another variant. It's called 9 steps. 9 starts with efficient plan based on needs, appropriation, advertisement, pre-qualification, bid submission, bid opening, bid evaluation, technical and financial, tender support, first as those of us in executive and contract execution or contract management. Go on. Go on. What do we mean by contract management? If there's anything lacking in our entire procurement process, is that we have not paid adequate attention to contract management. Under our regime, we are focusing more. What are the features of contract management? How do we define it? is the process of actively managing contracts implementation to ensure the efficient and effective delivery of the contracted outputs or outcomes. The focus is on value for money. Contract management focuses on value for money. It places strong influence on the upstream activities. That is, who is that contractor? What's his pedigree? How is he doing it? The consultant on the field, what is he doing? Here, the VC has a strong role to play in contract management. Why do I mean? The VC has to be on the field, checking for what is being done. Contract management requires that the parties to a contract understand clearly their roles and responsibility. Do you know that behind the standard bidding documents, we have samples of contract agreements behind the bidding documents? All that the director legal needs to do is to customize it to suit each particular contract. He doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. However, if that document, that contract exceeds a particular threshold, you have to contact Federal Ministry of Justice. Government is losing funds through poor contract management. Contractors are taking advantage that we are not vast in contract management. That's a separate topic that requires deeper training that we can provide in collaboration with the university. Next slide. Contract management is expected to what? The project should be delivered on time, at the right place, at the right quantity, and at the right price. It must follow specification, standards, and quality. And I'll tell you, I went to a university a couple of years ago. I don't want to mention. They were building a 500 lecture theater. When I got there, fellow participants, I ran back. I wasn't sure it was the lecture theater. I thought it was the village halls. I had to ask the PC, is this a lecture theater? He said, yes. I said, are you sure? That this is currently under investigation. The door was an embarrassment for a citadel of knowledge. The seats were appalling. And I asked, I said, PC, are you sure? 350 million worth of contracts, and you provided this kind of facility? The building is worse than the 1960 building. And we call it a university. This admits specification was not matched with outputs. Quality was not matched. Standard was compromised. You see a teaching hospital. I saw another one. The ICT, the theater. Blood of people who they were operating was coming out at the back. I went to another ICT in another place. Sorry, because we're university community. That's what I'm telling you about the university community. You see an ICT lab. Listen, the Microsoft application in the system were the one of 2003. The laptops were refurbished for the price of brand new ones. And who are the people who did it? Director of Procurement, Director of ICT, Director of Audit, Director of Accounts. Everybody signed off to defraud the institution because contract management was not respected. And the contractor was happy to help them do the legality. Because he said to them, and they are happy. By the way, I hope you know the money that you got illegally does not last. It's a cost. Next slide. So, like I said, contract management has procedures. You must undertake, it has to be efficiently and meant for performance, delivery, and payment. This procurement don't pay. And don't pay for jobs not properly done. This you don't approve. Auditors don't sign off. Director of procurement, why would you recommend for payment for a job not done properly? Contract management, take note of it. What are the fundamental challenges when you don't plan? When you don't communicate poorly, and when your communication is poor, when there is insufficient resources, either capacity or capability, good governance is lacking, decision making is poor, vulnerability to fraud or corruption. When your intention is to corrupt or to, cause corruption, contract management is not. And when there is no risk management plan. Next slide. Next slide. There are case studies, go on, because of time. I've also provided for you a risk management plan that you can use to gauge every contract. You will know which one is high risk, low risk. At every stage of procurement, from scoping, from risk assessment, every stage has the possibility of abuses. Next slide. Your contract management must be fit for purpose. For instance, what's your vision for the next 10 years about providing alternative power supply? What's the vision? Fit for purpose. What kind of lecture theatre do you want to produce in the next 30 years? Can it stand the test of time? What kind of multimedia facilities? Fit for purpose. For instance, look at this all. As nice as it is, I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.5 horsepower ACs. By my definition of contract management, it is a poor contract management. Very simple. Who did the assessment? Who proposed that it should be 1.5 horsepower? Why am I still using fan? Contract management. Who did the scoping? Who recommended the program AC? How did you arrive at it? These are questions. This chair that we're sitting on, what's the lifespan? When will it be due for replacement? Where is the warranty? Should this one breaks down, who is responsible? Where is the maintenance agreement? The window, how did you arrive at this kind of window? These are contract management issues, fit for purpose. How am I making sense to us?
Yes.
Questions. That's what contract management talks about. What's the capacity of the teaching hospital? The main one. How many? I watched the video. I wish I could have shown you. In an hospital, they have dialysis hall that takes 200 per day. 200 dialysis machine. Dialysis machine. In a day, they do dialysis for 200 patients. First batch, second batch for a single day, 200. I'll send you the video. You'll see. Contract management. That building you have for the main theater,
What is the plan? You have 50,000 student capacity. What is the IT strategy to be deployed for their effective learning? The learning management system. Next slide. Next slide. So your suppliers, you also need to understand how you manage your contractors. Next slide. There are different approaches that you can use to manage your supplier. Even in university, you can develop suppliers. You can create a large pool of qualified suppliers that can be deployed into the national system. These are all questions and approaches that you need to do. Next slide. Under contract management, you must send out KPIs. What are the key performance indicators in that contract? Key performance indicators. What are they in your contract management? You need to make sure you send it out. Next slide. KPIs on their own, they are not useful unless somebody is following it up. Who is in charge of monitoring your KPIs here? Somebody should be involved. Somebody should be updating. Somebody should be identifying whether we are on track or not. Next slide. There are different tools for KPIs that can be deployed. I'm sure the university, all the professors there know. You have Gantt charts, you have different systems and tools that can be deployed. Next slide. Value for money principle wants to achieve all of these: economy, efficiency, fairness, transparency, quality. These are the key ingredients. For sustainable procurement, we are going to soon, God helping us, deploy certain tools. For instance, if you want to buy HP computer now, what's the cost of toner today? It could be very expensive, am I correct?
Yes.
But on the long run, it will serve you for a long time. But you can go and buy the other time that is cheaper. The toner is cheaper, but it cannot give you long-term service. So these are principles under labor issues, social issues. The contractor, who is the contractor employing? How many of the locals within that environment are involved in that contract execution? I hope you are following me. Yeah. If that contract management, you must ask all this question. The contractor should not do contracts in your locality without showing you a measure of the contribution he's bringing to the society. How many of the locals he or she is employing? How many capacity is it building for the locals? What is the corporate social responsibility that is deploying in that project? Globally, where contractors do job, they leave a legacy, not that project. They also do something as legacy to the environment. We need to take note. Next slide. And then also always think of options. There are different options. How many of us are thinking that the way you build lecture theatre has changed? You don't build lecture theatre like a straight line. It's not being built in an hexagonal manner, in different format, such way that students can sit in any position and still see the board. Is that where we're heading to? Maximizing space for maximum efficiency.
You can prolong life by the way you build intellectual theaters. When the student sits straightforward, it's also affecting his medical, his composition. If he stays for 5 years and he's sitting straight alone, it could affect his composition. But when the student enters the hall and he can swim, he can see from different perspectives, his body can last longer. Next slide. Next slide. Focus on management, of course, is specification. Go on. So that go on. I've tried to summarize what contract management is about. Ladies and gentlemen, for 2025 budgets, please pay attention to the following. I've told you the advertisement can take 4 and 6 weeks. Subsequent procurement and approval process should be completed within a period not exceeding 7 weeks. You will hear the timeline, and that is going to be seriously implemented. What is happening here is that it's no longer your choice when you want to start and when you want to end. It's an enforcement by us. Nobody can tell VC to say, VC, we are waiting. You don't have a choice. Once you see the guideline next week, you start, you must follow the timeline. If it says it's 2 weeks for tenders board to meet, tenders board by the VC must meet within that 2 weeks. It's not an option. You don't decide. It must happen by the new timelines that will be releasing. VC can be out of the country, but you can conduct tenders board virtually. You don't have to be physically present anymore. You can do virtual tenders board meetings. That's the new rule. You create a Zoom or Microsoft Meet or whichever one, or Google, whichever method, but you must do tenders board meeting as prescribed by PPP for next week. Note, we will not ask. The norm in the last 10 years has been to seek for no objection for selective tendering. Please, as we make it and be done in it, no more selective except if it meets the criteria set in the law. What do? Everybody wants to be selective. They don't want to advertise. The game has changed. You must advertise. Next slide. You must submit a monthly report to BPP of your procurement activities for the preceding month. And by so doing, we will collate and submit it to FED at the same time. You must publish on 2 websites, BPP website and the rest of the new website, all contracts awarded in the university. You must show the date, the time, contractor's name, contractor's sum, period of execution, and when the contract has been concluded. You must upload it on 2 websites, your own website and BPP website. Please, the monitoring of this, as I'm telling you, is a combination of BPP, ICPC, EFCC, Code of Conduct, NFIU, and the Office of the Coordinator of Delivery. This is key. I'm appealing to you that you take this seriously. And of course, the use of selective tendering is no longer the norm, it's now an exception. Go on. Go on. No, go back. See, my colleagues, and those of you listening, the idea of contract management is that it has time back. It is what? Time back. You must start and end. It's no longer voluntary. It is compulsory to start as prescribed by PPP and end as prescribed by PPP. It is key that you know now, so that nobody in the university system delays you. So this is your own interest now. Anybody that is delaying you, you need to push them out because you will be held accountable. The interesting thing now is all procurement officers who deliberately constitute delay for your own implementation. I have the directive of the president to remove them. That's the new rule. So mobility, that's career management of those practicing procurement, non-government agencies are under PPP now. So if you have a procurement officer that is not performing well, the VC has to inform me, and I will give a law objection to remove them. That's the new rule. I hope I'm clear. Don't let it distract you. Are you following? Then the first Nigerian policy, Nigerian first, simply means give first option of refusal to Nigerian local manufacturers. Where it does not exist, then you can go foreign. Even when you go foreign, that foreigner must show in his delivery that is going to build the capacity of the local. That is the way we are going. So we are going to deploy CCSP. That is, contractors are being categorized and classified into capacity and knowledge. Next slide. I mentioned some of these things to you already. Okay, I mentioned that. Monitoring, what is different now is that at your tenders board, I can show up. For instance, the university has to notify us that you are going to do tenders board on social dates. It's compulsory to write PPP that there will be a tenders board meeting on social dates. I could choose to come in person or I could send an observer. This is new. I hope I'm making it clear to you. Every tenders board meeting you want to do, you must put it, you must notify PPP that you are going to conduct tenders board meeting on so dates at so time at this venue. I could choose to come, or I could choose to send someone to come and observe the processes and reports. Next slide. Okay. Go on. These are the documents that are currently being used for us. Go on. All right. So before I conclude my presentation, please take notes of some of the issues that I've said lately. Tenders board must note that it can be virtual and it will be attended either way by BBB. Please take note of this paradigm shift. If I come and I observe that the contractor recommended or the evaluation report is not intended, I will not sign. Whoever comes will not say it was done properly. These are other key issues that we look forward to you complying. The whole essence is for us to implement and ensure we deliver. And then monitoring is not going to start immediately. Once you show us evidence that you have awarded the contract, we will deploy within your geopolitical zone. We are working with 36 states. For instance, in Benin, we have the regulatory body similar to BPP in Benin. We will work with them to come and help us monitor the projects you have awarded and report to us in Abuja. So we are working with the 36 states. We are also deploying a team of EFCC, ICPC, BPP to commence monitoring of those projects. So it's not going to wait. Unlike before that, we wait. As soon as you award, we are interested in the monitoring and evaluation immediately. And then audits, as usual, you are aware of what audits all means. What is different now is that Federal Executive Council will be getting updates directly on the performance of all parastatals under Ministry of Education, under Ministry of Works in its implementation. My fellow participants, I would like to remind you of what the President said. He said the road of reforms is now clearly upon us. And as the President of this blessed nation, I know this less traveled road has not been easy. I am also saying that this new reform is not going to be easy. We all need to work together. That there have been difficulties, and sacrifices, that's true. They will not be in vain, and we must keep faith in the process to arrive at our collective destination. President Bola Tinubu, Gisela, next slide. Conclusion: do not do the wrong thing to keep a friend or to make one. Next slide. Questions? Thank you very much for listening. That the host.
One thing say that we are very, very proud of DG for a very excellent presentation, no surprise. Somebody who has been doing since 2003, you know, we feel very rich from that many years of travel. Congratulations for an excellent presentation. The nation of is indeed blessed to be having you for the kids and yourself, the international that we are your board. They are having on this campus today, even before the entire country gets to know what you have said. So it feels quite honored in me. For this question time, I really like to put some questions by also to who are attention to someone. There will be no time for everybody to discuss. There are some questions I think you ask because we talk directly on some of the outstanding policy issues, current matters we have. We have, for instance, changes now that there is subsisting approval. There are also of the Senate, that was going on. I invited came back to that what I want, and I'm told that it's one that with this significant shift in policy, what we I know, for example, here giving a no objection to that project. Now that we talk of the threshold instead of 5 billion, which is the ministerial board side, perhaps we would get just enlightenment on this particular because as you know the power of inflation or so that's one other question. Other side, people will ask privately. So I don't believe that. Thank you very much. God bless you.
It also is a policy statement that I forgot to thank you for raising it. All existing no objection that have been granted under the formal dispensation as directed by President, that's no objection if it falls within your threshold, apply it. When it does not, when it does not fall within the threshold, as soon as supposed to go to federal executive council before, return it back to us, and we issue a new one that goes to the ministerial tenders board as you have seen on the screen, that does not need to go to Fed. We are not changing the policy, we are only changing the cover letter. We are only going to take the letter that says go to Fed. Now that the threshold for Fed has gone up, all I will just do is to change the conveyance page to say go to ministerial tenders board. That's all. So nothing is going to affect, in fact, it's going to be very rapid. So any certificate of objection you have currently that has come up with this new policy, all you need to do is just give me a letter. Or you issue it and you take it straight to the ministerial tender. And I said, every ministerial tenders board must meet within the stipulated time which have been announced. It's not an option anymore. Thank you.
Very brilliant presentation. And it's a very wonderful for those of us who this other area, the management. There are so many questions I have, but we're going to limit those that are very difficult to know because of the office. We send about the program papers. Almost immediately after approval of tenders board. Because people make those together. Need to error in the program, one is focus. So somebody comes to the point of if there's litigation, we say, go and take contract. That's our word. And maybe something you do that just to become unusual. The technical issue that the university may not lose the case. And you know, as a contractor, most of your contractors, some of them are very cracked. Some exploit the loopholes and technicalities of power. However, let me just ask, just so that you are enlightening us more. The issue of the Finance Act. At the time, we were having issues with that. And the issue was, this recommended 30% material advance. Or this mobilization fee done. So it took us some time. So people interpreted it down. The whole seminar was 15%. And then the finance act was talking of 30%. So what we're trying to do at the time when some people came from Mexico, some of this school, they were saying that no circular will back up 30%. So we have the word from the therefore is a bit clearer when it's against its own position. So I want you to also talk about this issue of 30% or 15%. When how we go about it. Well, the recovery we did that. I want to statement for your names. The other one that is also that has gone through in the system over time. When you have a body registered in the system, sometimes they say they cannot bid for contract. For instance, the agency of the has a venture or a company, and it has the capacity to handle the projects that go inside the president. What is the law now? At the time, it said, even when your venture, any of the arm of the university, maybe those architects, maybe the university, but they want to bid for it. Said no, thanks. And we will handle that. We will strike them out. So I want your clarification of that. And I think I still have just one thing. You mentioned that if anybody within the procurement system is not compliant, we have the power to remove that person. That is not clear to do. Because the university is itself, But okay, along the line, you have a use. Then you now feel that, okay, I need to leave the person should be removed. There are lots of investigations, there are procedures for staff, discipline, so there are others, but I want to first look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so straight ahead, the 30% subvention is by law. And you don't need to issue circular to grants. It's an act of parliament. In fact, we are trying to shift from being having too many documents flying around. So the act is 15%, but there's an amendment to the act by Finance Act that says 30% utilization. That's the law. Whether the circular goes with this or not, it's no longer an issue. Circulars are to be further clarification immediately. The law says 20% utilization in the compliance. I think that is the other one. So we need to be careful. Let's say you have a business unit. Are they registered in Corporate Affairs Commission? Do they have all the requirements? And they want to bid for a project in the university. The question is, will there be conflict of interest? That's the question to answer. If there's going to be conflict of interest, the law says disclose it. Actually, yes. And once you know there is going to be a conflict of interest, the solution is to avoid it. It's as simple as that. But there's direct labor where the fiscal planning units and undertakes on the legal work. Am I correct? Here and there. Even that one, it is only the materials that we procure, but you will not be paid for doing the remedial work. Because that's why they have fiscal planning. And the materials to supply, they cannot go and buy. It is a third party that will divide the material. The issue of removal, again, is a paradigm shift. If the procurement person that is there as well as undergone training in BB is an illegal function. Anybody performing procurement role in the university and have not been trained, and you don't have a certificate that is signed, you are performing an